Hello, I'd like to welcome you to the National Institute of Standards and Technology Employee Training Session for NC State IES's DoD training. You all are probably familiar with NIST's special publication 800-171. Today we will be discussing employee training for DoD contractors in the cybersecurity space. My name is Nimasheena. I am the Director of Communications and Project Management for the North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. To start, let's do a quick overview. So we'll have an introduction. We'll break it up into a couple of sections. Our sections are entitled Start at the Top, Pinpoint Assets, Social Engineering, How does North Carolina add up when it comes to cybersecurity? We'll have a conclusion. To start off, proof is in the training. To begin, we're going to discuss a few personnel training caveats that NIST 800-171 has outlined. Those can be found in Section 3.91 and 3.92. We want you to make sure that DoD contractors are screening individuals prior to accessing any information that is considered controlled, unclassified information. Now, this screening process needs to take place before individuals are hired, or at least take place before individuals have access to any fiduciary responsibilities, access to any cyber systems, access to any servers. So many times when individuals start to work, we go through these screenings, but after individuals are promoted, we often forget to go back and do background checks and do screenings because people's personal histories might change. So as a good rule of thumb, as individuals come into your organization and as individuals move up in your organization, make sure that you're screening them. 3.9.2 ensure safety during CUI, during termination, transfer, and separation. It's been recorded not just in this state but around the world that individuals often take it upon themselves to take out their frustrations on their organizations upon termination, upon transfer, or upon separation. Those instances are actually done purposefully, but we're going to talk about some of the things that happen inadvertently later. To ensure the safety of your controlled unclassified information, it's important to reduce individuals' access. If they have P cards, or if they have computers that are able to access financial information, customers' personal information, we might want to start to put barriers in place to actually stop individuals from being able to access those systems. And again, that's doing termination, transfer, separation. And it just depends. 55 to 65% of attacks are done by insiders. I do want to point out that 35 to 50% of those are actually done inadvertently. And when I say they're done inadvertently, what we have found is that many of these cyber attacks, especially the ones that are going right now in the United States, are done low-tech. Misplaced USB drive, an individual who might actually take a laptop into a building and they're not familiar with it. It's always important to take those to security first and not to hook those up to any network or actually stick those USB drives into their own laptops. So those are just a few of the low-tech ways that we've seen things happen inadvertently. Across the United States, we've seen studies done, and these studies, we've picked 10 research institutions that show that alternate employees' response to threats reduces the risk of those cybersecurity breaches by 45 to 70%. Now, 45 to 70% is a pretty wide berth, so let's just keep it at about 50%. When we say altering their responses, instead of that person taking that USB drive and putting it into their laptop, we'd like for them to take it to the information technology division. Instead of someone actually taking a laptop and plugging it up and setting it up to the network, we would like for them to take that laptop to a security officer. So again, it's all about the decision making. It's all about the social engineering, and we will get to social engineering just a little bit later. When developing a cybersecurity policy, it's always important to start at the top. We've all heard the old adage that attitude reflects leadership. And while attitude is important, we also have to remember that individuals at the top are actually often hard targets. Hard targets are anyone who is C-level. The CEO has access to contracts that folks on lower levels might actually not have access to. The CFO has fiduciary responsibilities. Your CTO has access to technology and security protocols. So when we say start at the top, it means we need to make sure that those individuals are actually doing their best efforts to protect their personal information, to protect their personal space and their workspace, and actually doing their best efforts to protect their employees. So it works twofold. If we see them taking advantage of these cybersecurity protocols, we'll see employees do the same. But you'll also greatly reduce how much damage you do to your company because, again, C-level employees have more access to more pertinent information for a company. Two stats for you. 84% of employees are using a personal email. with the advent of cheap email content management software, you're seeing small to medium-sized businesses or small to medium-sized enterprises using personal email to do business transfers. Those personal emails might not actually be the best place to do business, but it is the world that we live in. So since we know that, we have to be very careful with what people take home, what people are accessing on their personal cell phones, what people are accessing on their personal networks at their own homes. 50% of companies expose company files or data by uploading to a cloud-based service such as Dropbox, or you send it. The reason why we bring up this number is to let individuals know that not everybody is storing information on computers. So if you're going to have it actually on a cloud-based service, what we want you to know is what kind of security protocols do these cloud-based services actually have. Educate yourself on that, because if you're going to be uploading your company's financial information and contracts to these spaces and you don't know what security parameters they have in place, you might be opening yourself up to a cyber attack. Well, we've gone over 3.91 and 3.92, and those were personnel security. Now we're going to discuss awareness and training. That's 3.21 and 3.2-2 in your NIST Special Publications 800-171 handbook. Number 1, increase employee awareness. It's important to educate your staff and train them on how to handle confidential information, email safely, and undertake security best practices, especially as increasingly sophisticated social engineering schemes develop and new ways to acquire sensitive information develop. If employees do not understand how criminals are working and how they can be targeted, they can't be on the lookout for them. Step 2, make sure your employees are part of the solution. People always want to be a part of something. They want to feel a part of the team. They don't necessarily have to be in the information technology division to take advantage of some of these cyber defense protocols. So emphasize their role in protecting your company's information and asking for their ideas on how to mitigate risk of a breach. Because as I pointed out, many of the new breaches that take place are low tech. They're not necessarily high tech or done over the internet. So employees know best how to protect their spaces. Step 3, test the security savvy of your employees. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Start with understanding the level of your employees' current security knowledge. Give them a test, give them a survey, make it into a game, see how competitive it can get. Train all of your employees. Any of them can become a target, not just those who are customer facing. Step number 4, follow up with your employees on their test results. Constant reinforcement and affirmation of progress will encourage your employees to remain vigilant. If an employee clicks on a simulated phishing attempt, share that results with that person. Don't make them feel bad about it. Educate them so that they won't make the mistake again. If you administer a quiz, show every employee their results and how each compares with the average. It takes on average 90 days to break a habit, and it takes on average 90 days to form a new habit. So you can be updated on having a safe space for your employees in 1 quarter.